Hello and welcome! This is Mouse Gunner, and I'm going to be starting a brand new series covering the game Oxygen Not Included, which is brought to us by the developers of Don't Starve. Oxygen Not Included is similar in some ways to the game RimWorld, which is another game that I'm covering a series of on my channel. And the basic concept of Oxygen Not Included, as well as RimWorld, is that you're building a base or colony, and your objective is to expand that base so that you can survive in the environment that you find yourself in. There are definite differences between RimWorld and this game, and we'll be going over that once we load everything in here, but there are also a number of similarities if you're familiar with that game. The first similarity is the fact that we start with 3, at least as far as the default of the game so far, and this is early in development, so you can expect some bugs here and there, but also expect the game to expand as time goes on. But we start with 3 people, which aren't colonists, they're referred to as duplicants. And we'll see exactly why as we load things in. But similarly to the way RimWorld works, the characters have a number of attributes that determine how good they are at set activities. We have a background that is going to determine where they get or where these attributes come from. So I'm not exactly sure how all of these different backgrounds work, but for instance, architect is going to have a big influence on the construction stat. So you can see level 8 architect, and it just so happens that this person has +8 in construction. So more than likely technician is tinkering because level 5 +5, 8 and athletics here for runner. So you can kind of draw comparisons. And these attributes are going to determine how good they are at the set actions. And you can see kind of what these actions are if you hover over the thing. So digging is kind of obvious, and you'll see exactly how digging works once we get into the game. Then you have 2 traits, and starting off, it seems like every character has 1 positive trait and 1 negative trait, and this works similarly to the way RimWorld works as well. So we have Grease Monkey here, which is going to give us +5 in tinkering. Actually, you know what? Now I'm not sure what Technician does. Alright, well, this duplicant likes to throw a wrench to the colony's plans in a good way, so tinkering +5. We have Biohazard. All the vitamin C in space can't stop this duplicant from getting sick, so this duplicant is more likely to get sick. We also have a couple other traits here. We have Decor Expectation. This is more or less what the character expects as far as the aesthetic of the area for them not to be stressed out. So right now, this character has 0 expectations, so they're a lot lower than a lot of the other characters we have so far. And then we have a stress response. So I'm going to assume, I haven't actually seen how this works, but once they get stressed out enough, this is what they're going to do. So we have Destructive for a couple characters, or duplicants, and we have Vomiter over here. Alright, so that's this character here, Gus. Let's take a look at Hugh here. So pretty good stats over here. Twinkle Toes. So athletics +7. Again, I'm not exactly sure with the runner stat if that's what we have linked. I kind of have figured out that architect is affecting construction, but I'm not so sure with some of the other ones. So in any case, Twinkle Toes +7 to athletics. And then we have Yokel. Now, this is going to prevent this character from doing research. So again, a similarity to RimWorld, where certain traits make you incapable of doing certain actions. We have a similar thing here in Oxygen Not Included, where this yokel trait means that this character cannot do research. And that would be the learning stat too, which we already have another character that's pretty good at learning over here. This actually is not a bad start. We have a well-rounded character, although the biohazard trait might be a problem. I haven't actually seen sickness happen yet. We have this character, although not capable of doing any research, is pretty good at a lot of other areas, and athletics means that they have a big bonus to moving around the map, which is good. Over here we have Quick Learner, which is where that learning came from, but we have Bottomless Stomach. So this duplicant might actually be several black holes in a trench coat. So from what I'm gathering here, they burn calories faster, which means that they have to eat more food. Honestly, this character is the one that I would most want to reroll. All I have to do is hit the shuffle, and I would get another randomly generated character. But honestly, I think we have a pretty good start, so I'm not going to actually reroll anyone. Let's just go ahead and embark. Oh, I do want to change this to mouse, base. I'm going to call it 1 because one thing I've kind of heard about this game is that it can be rather difficult. I've heard of people having to restart a run, and you can find yourself in a losing situation, which we might encounter. As much as I've played about an hour and a half of this game, there's still a lot to learn. Your crew has awoken miles beneath the surface of an unfamiliar terrestrial body. Oddly, they have no recollection of how they got there. It might be best to start digging. Alright, so this is where we spawn in, and we have our 3 duplicants. This here is the printing pod, which we can see. Another duplicant will come out in roughly 1500 seconds. We also start with a ration box, which gives us a little bit of resources, which we can see over here. We see we have edible resources, 20,000 kilocalories. So that's more or less our food. A big part of this game, first off, differences with RimWorld. RimWorld, you have a top-down perspective. This, you have a side-on perspective. So it definitely changes the dynamic of this type of game quite a bit. And it's something that I'm really having to get used to because I'm so more familiar with that top-down perspective. But a big element of this game is the fluid dynamics and the different gases that you can encounter. So let's go ahead and take a look at this oxygen overlay, and we can see some of these gases maybe a little bit more easily. So oxygen is going to be highlighted for us in blue. Now, its richness is going to be colored in different ways. I think this lighter blue means pretty rich, and we can see that richness here and its density in grams. If we come over here in the darker blue, you'll notice that that number is much lower. But it's still breathable. If we come over here, we have red. Now, this is carbon dioxide, which is unbreathable. And we see its density here in grams as well. So we have a lot of carbon dioxide over in this cavern, but a little bit of oxygen up at the top. And similar thing over here, carbon dioxide. There are other gases. I don't think we see them necessarily on the map. This is a vacuum, so there's no any breathable or unbreathable gas at all in here. And we have a lot of that. Oh, here we go. Contaminated water. No, that's not a gas. I've seen toxic gases like chlorine and what have you. I'm not really seeing any of that on our map, so possibly out at the edges we'll encounter some of that. But right now, mostly just vacuums, oxygen, and carbon dioxide that we're seeing. And this start, honestly, looks a little bit on the challenging side because we don't have really anywhere obvious to immediately expand into. We could expand over here, but we would immediately encounter all of this unbreathable carbon dioxide. And as you can see, our duplicants don't really have any way outside of just holding their breath of acting in a unbreathable zone. We also have a little bit of water here, which is good, and we have some plants that we can harvest. And if we click on the plants, we can see what they do. So an edible fruit, okay, yeah, it cannot reproduce in the wild. So I think once we dig that up, it's over. This over here is a plant that we can harvest multiple times. So remaining harvest 3, but it has a grow rate. So right now it's 80% grown. We have to wait until it grows fully, and then we can harvest it. So there are some sources of food readily. And let's go ahead and start digging. So we have water over here. We have a pocket of oxygen down here. I think digging out this way is just obvious. Even though maybe not very breathable right now. Now, as far as your characters go, they are too tall, and they can jump up on a platform too tall high. So this right here is as tall as we can get with them to be able to jump up on it naturally. We can build ladders and things like that to allow us to move through. And once I unpause, the duplicants will do whatever orders I've told them to do on their own. Just like RimWorld. Now, unlike RimWorld, you can't really override them. You can't draft them or do anything like that. So Hugh right now is kind of standing there because he doesn't have anything to do. We haven't told him to do anything. Go ahead and... These are just tutorials here. I'm just going to close them out for right now. You also see that the sandstone is just kind of dropping out and resting on the ground. We need toilets. That's the one thing that's telling us that we need right now. That would be under plumbing. And we can see outhouse. If we click on the outhouse, we can see what we need as far as requirements for it. So we need dirt. And dirt is a set resource that you dig out. So right now, this is sandstone that we're digging. This here is dirt. And you can see visually the different resources. So we have algae, we have sand, we have dirt, we have copper over here, more dirt, we have coal. And these different resources are going to be used to build anything, but also a lot of these things need maintenance as well. And if I remember correctly, the outhouse needs maintenance of dirt, which is what it's saying requirements-wise. The raw material that we need to build it is the sandstone. So you can see in this box here, we need 200 sandstone. So we can build it, but we can't maintain it because we don't have any dirt at all. Now, it wouldn't take us too much work to get dirt because it's right over here. And there's some over here as well that we can dig out. So as you can see, they can jump up too high pretty easily. Okay. But I have to keep in mind, this is all unbreathable. This is kind of, as I said, a rough start. This down here is breathable. And this is dirt, and we do need dirt. So I'm actually going to consider here digging down here. And I think what I'm going to do is just keep digging down. Straight down. And I would like to build rooms, I think, every so often. So, right about here, I'm going to build a room. I'm going to build another room in here. Now, I might not be able to use a lot of this just because of the breathable oxygen we have access to. And then as we do that, I'm also going to start building ladders so that we can get up and down. Because as I discussed, you can only go down 2 levels and hop back out 2 levels. So if you want to go down more than that, you're going to have to build ladders, which is what I am doing currently. And that allows them to come down. Now, I don't know exactly what I'm going to put in these rooms at the moment. For now, that's what we're going to work on. Okay. I think the next thing I'm going to do is I would like to dig out all this dirt because we already discussed that we need dirt. I'm going to switch over to the digging tool. I'm going to draw out like this so that we can use this area. Now, right now with the oxygen, you can see this new area we dug out has no oxygen. So it's unbreathable. But this area we just dug into had breathable atmosphere. So the 2 pockets of gas here are going to kind of intermingle. And we're going to start have some of this oxygen come up. Now, I think the way that this works is usually the carbon dioxide kind of is at the bottom of the oxygen. Because again, we have the fluid dynamics. So you see, let's get a good example here without the overlay. We've got the oxygen on top of the carbon dioxide here. So I'm not positive, but I think what's going to happen... Oh, okay, so I think we just had somebody fall down. Bring our ladder down. I think the sand fell down on its own. I'm going to have to be mindful of that so we don't have sand falling on our guys and crushing them or something. Alright, so let's see how breathable this area is. It's, Now, they can still work in unbreathable areas. They have to hold their breath and... Oh, okay, so I think what happened is this fell, so we're going to have to build a floor if we want to be able to use that. I guess I might as well build a floor there as well. There we go. Now you notice that they kind of just leave a lot of the resources on the ground. There is a way to get them to pick things up. I think he did pick up the muck root, which he's going to put over here in the ration box. And if we want them to pick up other things, we're going to want a storage box. So we'll put one right there. And they'll start picking up some of these until the storage box is full and putting them in that storage box. Once we have the storage box built, we can tell it what we want in there. Okay, so we just got ourselves some dirt. So that means that we can do the first thing on our list, which is requiring toilets. Let's go to our plumbing. We have an outhouse. That's all we have right now. These all other things require research to unlock. And we're going to stick the outhouse right there. We need to build this. Okay, we haven't got any raw metal, so we can't build doors. All right, that's fine. That's going to be our little outhouse area for now, so that our colonists can go to the bathroom. All right. Next area of expansion. Well, we have a little bit of oxygen over here. But really, we want to think about resources we want. I want this copper and this coal. Now, this is deep within unbreathable area, so it kind of is rough. We have copper over here, though, which looks like it might be easier to get to. As a matter of fact, we have copper right here and coal right here. I'm going to go ahead and dig out this area so we get a little bit of metal resources. And we have to select this. I'm just going to say all for now. And they'll start filling up the storage box, and you'll see them do that. But just like RimWorld, I can select certain things. This would be like a zone, a storage zone. So we select what we want to put in the box. Right now, I just have everything. But I can set certain things. So right now, it's not telling me I need anything else. But of course, we need a food source now. So that's going to be under here. And we have the microbe musher is going to be our way of making food. And when we make this, we're going to need power. So really, that's a bigger priority, is some way of making power. And we have to think about how are we going to route the power from wherever we put it. Because that's a big part of this game, is routing the power. And these floors that I put down, you can route power through, but otherwise, you're going to have to dig out the area and put in walls or what have you to be able to route the power, or you just, route it over open air. This is such a big area, I'm really tempted to put it in here. But I think what I'd rather do is dig out more area and make this maybe our power generation area. And I can prioritize where I want somebody to work. So if I want them to do this mining at a higher priority, I can set that at a 3 and start selecting like that. So that's how you can prioritize jobs. Also, like RimWorld, we have our job assignment. And this is going to be grouped by how well certain characters are at doing things. I believe red designates that they're the best at a particular thing. So knowing that, let's see, research. We know this character can't do research, but knowing that this character is the best at research, I could turn this other character off of research and then they would never do it. Which might not be a bad idea, honestly. So that's the kind of stuff you can do. It's not like RimWorld, though, where you prioritize certain things. You just turn it off or on, depending on the skills and what have you of the colonists. Now you can see we have a lot more resources to take advantage of. Did we get the ability to make the pneumatic door? We did. It's not that it's something we necessarily need at the moment. What we really need is the power generation. So let's get working on that as soon as possible. So I am going to put this power generation here. And then I'm going to put in a couple batteries there. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to dig here and here. And we're going to replace this with flooring. That we can route the power up through. And then we'll put our food production, I think, here. But we don't right now have enough raw metal to do that. So that means we're going to have to dig out more copper. I'm just looking around the map to see if there's a good place to get that from. Still, breathable-wise, we're over here. So I think digging out over here is going to be the thing. I have to keep in mind this is vacuum. I don't know if... I don't think I want to mine this out because it does reduce oxygen, the oxalite. So ideally, I'd want to move around it. So let's do that. And then we can start coming through like that. I wonder if the more of this that you have uncovered, the more oxygen it outputs. And if that's the case, go ahead and dig out a little bit and see what we get. Yeah, see, this is not emitting any oxygen. Let's see when we dig this out if it starts emitting oxygen. Because if that's the case, then we want to uncover this stone. Yeah, see, now it's emitting oxygen. All right, so yeah, that kind of makes sense. So the more uncovered this is, I think the more oxygen it's going to emit. Very interesting. Kind of random, though. Okay. So, now we need to hook all the power up. So let's go to... First off, let's go to our base. Put in the tiles so we can route the power. Then we're going to grab this and we're going to do electrical wire. So we see the little plugs. All you have to do that. That. And then ideally we'll want to draw it up there, but we're not really ready for that. And I do want to prioritize this stuff a little bit more because they're doing other jobs. So let's prioritize digging through this cave now. And it looks like we're starting to win the battle of oxygen over here, oxygenating this area. Now, I believe the carbon dioxide won't necessarily go away. There's ways to make that happen, but we haven't done it yet. Okay, so we've built that bit of flooring. So now I'm going to build our food production facility right there. And you can see where that plug is. It's on the left side. So all I have to do to route the power is come up and plug it into where the plug is going to be. So right now we're getting the manual generator hooked up to the batteries. And now we're charging the batteries. And currently this guy is taking up the copper ore to the microbe musher so that he can build it. We have all the resources gathered. And this is why the storage is important, because otherwise these guys just let the resources sit out. Now, for a lot of things that doesn't necessarily matter, but for things that, like food, have a non-refrigerated life. Okay, so we've entered the sleep cycle zone. Right now, because we don't have bedrooms, you notice they just kind of passed out where they were standing. As long as we have this little triangle over this red line, they will be asleep. So if I speed up time, you can see this wedge is moving around. Once we're no longer on this red line, The duplicates will wake up. And we'll be good to go. This is where having beds can be a good thing, because you don't want them to pass out in an unbreathable zone and die. Never seen that happen, but I had a duplicate that had narcolepsy on my first playthrough, and he would just fall asleep randomly, and I could see, like, falling asleep over here and a bunch of carbon dioxide probably could potentially kill him. Alright, so now we have to hook up the power. Let's go ahead and grab that electrical wire. And because we have the floor in here, we can draw through. Now, I could have drawn that through rock, but what would happen is they would have to mine through the rock before they could make the wire connection. Okay, so has to use the toilet, so he's going to go do that. Fortunately, has to wait for Hugh, though. And eventually we're going to want to, now that we have power, we have batteries, we have all that, we're going to want to go on to our research station so that we can tech up here. Fortunately, we don't have the ability to build it anywhere right now. I mean, I can put it down here somewhere, but I want to kind of put it over where our power generation is, ideally. So, I know I prioritize this as number one. I'm having a hard time getting them to do what I want. Or is it the other way? Maybe, I'm doing it the opposite. So 9, there we go. See, I'm used to the priorities of RimWorld. See, that's something where I have to get used to. I had it turned down. There we go. There's set things I'm going to have to learn in comparison to RimWorld, or at least the differences. Oh, did I accidentally mine? Or maybe this consumes itself. I guess yeah, it does. It consumes itself. So as it gives you oxygen, it consumes it. That makes perfect sense that it does that way. Well, I guess we might as well dig up the algae. Okay, so now we have room to put our research station, or at least our first one, out. So we'll put that right there, and then we're going to need to wire it up, as it did have a plug on it. And we do that. Now, if we take a look at, I don't know if it has it there, but if we take a look at the research station, we can see what it needs. So it needs power. I believe it also needs resources to run, if I remember correctly. I don't see that listed, though, so maybe I'm misremembering. This needs, first off, we didn't tell it to do anything, but this needs resources to run. So you have set recipes you can do. We have mush bar and we have lice loaf. Now, the lice loaf we can't do because we don't really have the resources for it. That comes from the meal wood, the resources to make the lice loaf. You get meal lice, and then you can make these. This we can make out of dirt. So dirt and bottled water equals a mush bar, which gives you this many kilocalories. The lice loaf is meal lice plus bottled water. So this is not very efficient comparatively, dirt and bottled water. And the lice loaf is much more efficient, but it gives you the same calorie amount. So ideally, you want to be doing the lice loaf, but if you don't really have an option, then you're going to be doing the other one. But dirt is pretty valuable in my experience, so you don't want to be wasting too much of that. In any case, I think this is a good point to go ahead and put a cut in the video, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.